Hello! It is my first live in a while, and I'm very excited today to be talking to Marie Ng from Llama Life. She has founded this business in the public eye, built it on Twitter, and it is incredible. But I would like to start by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which I'm coming to you from today. They're the Yugambeh people of the Gold Coast in Australia, and I pay my respect to elders past, present, and emerging. Hi, Nee. I'm going to say hello to Nee. I've got Nee here. I've got hi, Nicole. And we will have Marie hopefully jumping on very soon. So I absolutely loved Marie's business name, Llama Life. It was awesome. But we actually got connected through Nee, who I used to work with at World Vision. And I'm just such an advocate for network and for staying in touch with your network. I am on LinkedIn. I enjoy LinkedIn, and I have quite the network there, but I think it's been incredible, the opportunities that have come through over the years, through being present on LinkedIn. It's different to Instagram in that people don't comment and like and interact as much, so it can feel like you're just talking to the ether. But what I've noticed is that people in real life will come up and say hello and tell me all the things that I've been doing from seeing on LinkedIn. So the message here is that people are watching, people are interested, people are interacting, but they may not just, it's not the vanity metrics of likes and comments. So don't stop posting and don't stop reaching out to your network if they're not reaching out, because they, seeming to reaching back, because they are watching and they will reach out at some point. All right, let's get Marie on here live. Awesome. Hello, Marie. How are you today? It always takes a second. There she is. Hello, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thank you for joining me today.
No problem.
It's wonderful to see you. So I give a little short intro, but I always like to start with asking the existential question, who are you? Or tell us a little bit about you.
Okay. So hey everyone, my name is Marie. I am the founder of Llama Life. Who am I? Gosh. I was born in Malaysia, actually. So I'm based in Australia now, but I was born in Malaysia. And I've lived in a few different countries. I spent some time living in London, and I also spent time living in the US, in New York City. But I grew up in Melbourne, Australia, and my family is all in Melbourne, Australia. And I used to work in branding and advertising, but I've always had a thing for startups and kind of building things and creating things. And that's kind of where I am now with Llama Life. That's a productivity tool that is all about helping you work through a to-do list. So we're all very good at creating our to-do list. There's a lot of tools that let you add things to your list and to your day, but we're all about helping you work through that. And we do that by helping you manage your attention and your focus. So it's less about time management, but more about attention management and sort of, how are you feeling in terms of your emotional state and your mental state, and how can we get you through that day?
I love that. It's such a great approach because as you say, there's all these wonderful things that basically just add more to your load, and it sometimes feels good to get it out of your brain, but to not be actually able to achieve it. And for some of these productivity apps and programs, I find that the job of actually putting things in there is makes it becomes more overwhelming than actual helpful to get started. So to view it as from that mental health, I guess, perspective as well, and about managing your day and not just ticking things off and racing the clock. That's a really nice approach.
I think for us as well, you can have two people who have exactly the same to-do list. So you and I could both have the same list of things to do today, and we might both do that. We might finish that, but you might end up in a state where you feel very calm and accomplished at the end of the day, but I might feel like I'm stressed or I'm feeling hectic. And, we were basically asking ourselves, what's the difference between the two people? Like, what's the difference that made you feel great about what you were doing versus me maybe not feeling so great? And can we design a tool that can help, create the desired effect? So that's kind of one of the reasons that we created it. The other reason is because I got diagnosed with ADHD about 10 years ago. So ever since then, I've been trying to find different tools to help myself, how to manage my focus, my attention. So it's also a very personal problem to me that I want to try and solve. Obviously, a tool by itself won't solve everything, but
Mm.
you can use it as one thing to help yourself. And it's one of many things you can try.
I love that you shared that as well. I was going to ask you about that side of it. And, generally businesses do come from a place of need, and generally it's meeting the need for ourselves. And so, that's something pretty big to share. But it is becoming more prevalent and, I guess, less stigmatized, the
Yeah,
ADHD diagnosis. And it's that
yeah,
understanding, isn't it? Understanding how your brain works and understanding how you operate
yeah,
to be most effective. And it's not just about, like you said, life. It's about life, not just about work.
yeah. I think I've become a little bit more comfortable with sharing that in public. I would say I wasn't really that comfortable maybe even a year and a half ago about that. But I've been building Llama Life in public now for that time, and it has helped me in that sense, like to kind of just say, well, this is just me, this is my brand, right? This is kind of what I'm about, and that ADHD diagnosis is just one part of me. So it's something I'm transparent about now because that's just me. That's just me now.
Absolutely. And it's a huge part. It's how your brain works. It's kind of a huge
So,
part of how you, but it also doesn't have to define you. I think that's something that we need to learn about too, these labels that are being dished out. That doesn't then define you. It's like, well, it's a management thing. It's part of you. And there are other people who are going through it. And so what a gift that you're giving people to share that your experience, because they're not going to feel alone as well. And obviously you're also providing them with a service and in this tool. So well
yep,
done
yep.
you.
Thank
But like you said that, and that's what I've really wanted to focus on with this live was, starting a business is a challenge. Creating something is
you.
a challenge, and often we do that in alone and then go, hey, here is this thing, take it
Yep,
into the
yep.
world. You've chosen to do that really publicly and bring people along
Mhm.
the journey. What's that been like for you? And as well, you mentioned briefly that you've gone from that corporate or working for someone else to working for yourself, and you've done it
Yep,
all publicly. So why
yep,
did you
yep.
choose to do that?
Um, there's a few reasons. I feel like the one of the main reasons was that I was a solo founder. So there's now two of us working on the business, but originally it was just myself. And I think when you're sitting all day at home trying to create something, it can get a little bit lonely. Like you want to kind of be around other people who are doing similar things. You can't underestimate the emotional support you get from just being around a group, right?
Yeah.
And it's one of the reasons for building in public was just to be around people with like minds and get that accountability and emotional support. But I think the other big reason is because if you build something and you don't tell anyone about it, nobody's going to know. So there is a bit of a marketing side to it too. People have been able to see the journey of Llama Life since day one, and they've been following it. So that's kind of how we got started. Is that I put something that I built on Twitter. I actually maybe should back up a little bit and say that, I actually taught myself to code about 2 years ago, and that is
Yeah.
another reason why I made Llama Life, because it started off as being a way to figure out or to practice what I'd been learning. So it didn't start off being sort of, I didn't start off going, this is going to be a huge business. I started off going, I want to practice something that I've been teaching myself.
Mm.
And that is where the build in public journey started as well, because I said, hey guys, I'm learning to code. This is the first thing I've made. I put it on Twitter, and I got a really good reaction from it, both from a support perspective, but also from a customer feedback perspective, because somebody said, one of the first comments was like, oh, where can I get this? Like, I want this. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. You know, maybe there's something here. Maybe this is something we can build on. And I just kept sharing things on Twitter, and people got interested in it. They started following the journey, and that's really opened a lot of doors for us even today. A lot of the people that we are looking to collaborate with, they've all come through Twitter. A lot of the opportunities about maybe going on a podcast or doing an interview, a lot of them have just come through Twitter. And I think the reason is, and I just chose Twitter because that's kind of what I'm on, but it can be any platform, right? It could be Instagram, it could be LinkedIn. It depends what you like, and it depends where your audience is as well. But I just think if you don't put yourself out there, nobody's going to see it. And I think when people see that you're actually putting in the work and you're moving, and you know the company's moving, then they want to get involved with that, right? They see that you're someone that's actually doing stuff. Let's work together. But you don't get that unless you put yourself out there in the first place.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I mean, it's something that I talk to my clients about all the time, but it's usually,
Mm.
it's the chicken and the egg, but it's usually the other way
Yeah.
around, and where they've, have created this thing and they're not even talking about it. So I
Yep.
think it's not only brave, but it's also incredibly smart, you know,
Yep.
because the founder's journey, especially in startups, like that's
Yep.
what the thing we buy into. You know,
Hmm.
we are interested in Elon Musk. Like yes, he made cars, but we care. We're interested in the person as well. It's
Yep.
what,
Yep.
I'm using big names here, but obviously Mark Zuckerberg. Like, there's a movie about him. We want to know, why did this thing, like, yes, we have the piece of technology, but why did it
Yep.
come to be, and how, and to share that process from the start. I mean,
Yep.
also
Yep.
you're building a community because people are going to be invested in that journey. They're like, I knew Marie when she was just writing code.
Yeah, I think you touched on something really important, which was that people are interested in something, right? So when we post on Twitter, we try and give insight into, say, the thought process. It's not just, it's not, it's really important that it's not just seen as like you're trying to market your product. You, People are there and following for a reason. They're not there just to be sold to. They want to be there to learn something, to get a little bit of insight. Maybe they got somewhere else. So when I post on Twitter, I try really hard not to do like a hard sell, right? It's usually something like, we've been thinking about adding this feature, because of XYZ, and here's kind of what here's like a mock-up of what it might look like. It's about sharing the journey, and it maybe sharing some of the thinking behind something, which you can't just Google. It's got to be something that's a little bit different, a sort of insight into somebody's mind, their thought process. And people like that. Like, even if that feature we add doesn't work, it's more about like, I saw that come to life. I'm part of that journey. And they might also learn something like, well, maybe I could think about doing that for my business. But I try not to be prescriptive either. It's like, you should do this, because that just doesn't help
Mhm.
any. Everybody's business is different. So I always try and be more like, we did this, right? Take from it what you will. It's like, this is what we did and how we thought about it. But it's up to the individual who's reading it to go, well, maybe I can apply that to my business, or maybe that doesn't work for my business because I have a completely different audience to you, a completely different product. So I think, when people give a lot of prescriptive advice on any social platform, it's kind of like, it's not one size fits all. And you're actually doing people a disservice by reducing a concept into a few sentences when you don't know about someone else's business, right? All you know about
Yeah.
is your own business. So that's what you can, that's you're an expert on that. So talk about that, but let other
Yeah.
people make their own decision whether they want to apply that knowledge or not.
Yeah, absolutely. You are the expert of your own story and your own journey.
Yep.
And so,
Yep.
it's funny. A lot of people often say, I don't know what to post, or I don't know how to share. And it's like, I think you're doing it in such an organic and authentic way in that, you know, and it's not contrived, because it's like literally, this is what I did. This is what I did. This is what I'm doing. Like, it's just facts. It's facts. This is what I'm doing. It doesn't need to be this, but you have chosen, you know, I guess, a path, and you've chosen a strategy in that we're going to be open and honest and take people along for the ride.
Yep. Yep.
It's
And
incredibly smart, but it's also brave. It's very brave.
it's really hard to do at the start. I think everybody's a little bit, you know, tentative about posting on social, especially when you don't get a response. I think we've all had this experience, right, of posting into the void. You post something, you get 0 likes, you get 0 comments. It's very disheartening. And you touched on this earlier as well about building a community, building an audience. You know, part of it is not just about posting, right?
Mm-hmm.
The secret to it is really about engaging with other people. It's not all it's not all about your posts. If you have a small amount of followers, you really, it's like real life, right? You really need to be talking with other people, get to know other people, go and contribute to their accounts, to their posts, make a comment.
Yeah.
That's how you build the community. It's not by posting 10 times a day into the void. It's about engaging with other people's content. And eventually, if they think that you have something interesting to say about their content, then they might just follow you naturally because they want to hear what you have to say after that. But it's always about starting with other people's content first, not your own content.
Yeah, and replying and responding. You know, I always say to my people, it's you're not Kim Kardashian. You're not getting a million posts a day. Like, even if you're getting 50 a day, I feel like you can say thank you to at least 5 or reply. And sometimes where the real magic happens is in the private messages. But I think seeing, you know, if somebody comments back on or does engage with you, then definitely respond. But like you said, it's also reaching out to other people, just as Nee did with me, you know, reaching out and then, you know, building that conversation. That's part of it. That's the social bit of social media that I think we often forget. It becomes just a news feed. But I do find it interesting that you've chosen Twitter, and you know, that I think there are people still having success with Twitter, but a lot of people feel like, I guess, the other channels have overtaken. But it's about choosing a channel that feels right for you, and that's
exactly. You know, feels right for you, where your audience might be. For me, you know, there's a lot of, you know, people always say, you know, tech Twitter. There's a lot of people in tech on Twitter. If you have a business which is more visual in nature, obviously Instagram, you know, could be a good place for that. But for tech stuff, for startups, I'm finding Twitter is really helpful. You know, like I said, we've made a lot of connections through that. It's opened a lot of doors, but I think it's just where our audience is spending time. You know, that said, we have tried other channels too. So we've tried TikTok, which is a whole different beast. Yeah, a whole different beast. And I have no doubt TikTok can be amazing for certain companies, certain brands. We didn't really have success on TikTok, not immediate success anyway. We didn't really get anything that was super viral, but a whole different skill set. So if you can spend the time and see what works, then it could be. We haven't ruled it out completely, but we just tried a few posts and didn't quite get what we needed. So we put it on pause for now.
Yeah, but you have to find where your energy is best spent. And, you know, I say to people, like, you know, if you're going to be everywhere but not really engaging anywhere, then, you know, you're speaking to everyone and no one, and that's not really beneficial. So the fact that you've focused somewhere and found something that you enjoy doing as well, because that's the thing as well. It's like, if you're not enjoying posting videos and being there and think it's all silly, well, then why would people want to engage back with you if you just are there purely because? Whereas if you actually enjoy spending the time in this channel, or like me, can, you know, social is all day, every day, and you love that, then that's fine. But it's got to be what's right for you. Now, Llama Life is a very interesting name. I love me a llama, but where did the name come from? It doesn't really seem to go with tech, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yep. No, that's a great question. So the branding side of it, the name, it actually comes from a trip that I did pre-COVID. So this is probably 2018, I think it was. A friend and I went to Peru. It was kind of this soul searching, one of those soul searching travel trips. Went with my best friend, and as part of that, we visited this small village, and there were maybe 20 people in this village. They didn't really have any modern conveniences, so they didn't have things like running water, electricity, but they had a lot of llamas. So the llamas were their livelihood. They were just running around everywhere, and they were essentially taking the wool off the llama's back, and they were creating, beanies and scarves and um, jumpers, like sweaters, to sell to people who would visit them. So it was just an interesting trip, but the thing that stuck with me was that these people didn't have anything fancy, but they were very calm and content. They're very happy people, right? They just didn't need much. They were just happy internally, which I think a lot of us struggle to be. And when I was trying to name the product, one of the things we try and help people achieve through using the product is a sense of calm and being content and happy with your day. And it was just super easy, like trying to come up with a name. It was originally just Llama because I wanted to replicate that feeling of that village. But over time, our customers really named it Llama Life because they just kept referring to it, saying things like, I want to live the llama life. Like they were saying that. So we actually changed the name from Llama to Llama Life, which from a branding perspective is much better because the word life kind of implies like a lifestyle that you're trying to achieve by using the product. You're trying to achieve a llama life. And because our community was already saying that, we were like, great, it makes sense. It's obviously easier to get things like domain names as well.
Mm.
And yeah, it just kind of stuck. So it wasn't a very hard decision. It came very naturally. And I think the fact that you say it doesn't sound like a tech product is a bonus for me as well. Like I want it to sound friendly and relatable and warm, and I feel like that's what we get from our customers is that kind of feedback.
Oh, it is. It's cute. I think llamas do have that calming vibe when you see them. They just do what they want. They live their life. They really don't care about anyone else. And you have very cute products I've seen you actually have a little llama and you send little packs to people, which is super cute. And, I want the llama life. Like, give me that. That's, it's very aspirational. I think you really nailed it. And again, I love the way that you're a storyteller, Marie, like the way that you're sharing your story, and that it could just be a product, but you've really taken people into your journey and you've really brought in that personal aspect, which is what great brands have. They have a personal attraction that brings people in. I think you've done it so well, and I've loved hearing your story. But have there been any challenges for you in terms of, we did talk a little bit about it, having to share some really personal things. Have there been any challenges in terms of, I guess, linking your personal brand to building this business?
Not huge challenges, but I think one thing that a lot of people fall into is that they feel they need to share everything. And building in public or being transparent doesn't mean you have to share every single thing. Like you can still draw a line. And that's something I figured out, very early. It's like, well, there's certain things I just won't share because it's not relevant to the audience, but that's up to every individual to make their own decision. And I think once you make that decision, it makes the sharing a lot easier because you don't have to think about it every time. Like there's just certain things I wouldn't share, maybe about my family or, any health, like if I have any health issues. It's not like I'm going to be posting that on Twitter. So I've kind of made up in my own mind, like this is where the line is. And that just makes it much easier, but if you haven't, it doesn't take long to think about this, but if you haven't thought about it, there's always going to be this decision that you have to make every time you post, like, oh, do I share this or not? If you spend time front thinking about, here's the stuff I want to post. This is from a branding perspective as well. Like, this is what this account is about, right? It's about Llama Life. It's not a sales thing. It's about the journey of Llama Life. It's about me learning to code. It's about me thinking through different product features, building this business. Then it's really clear from a branding perspective what the account is about. I'm talking like the social media accounts now. And from a follower perspective, your audience, they know what they're signing up for when they follow an account. The worst thing is if you follow an account, like you said, we're not Kim Kardashian. People don't care about every little detail about my life. They sign up to follow me on Twitter because they want to learn something and they know what they're going to get. They're going to get stuff about Llama Life. They're going to get stuff about someone learning to code and building a business. And if it's really important to be consistent on that, because otherwise you lose people. Right? If I start posting random stuff, I had this for breakfast, nobody cares about that, you know? It's like you said, we're not super famous, so people they're not aspiring to know what I had for breakfast to copy that. They're wanting to learn something about building a business, so that's why they're there.
I love that. I love that you've you've set boundaries. That's really, that's something that's really important. And like you said, if you do that early on, it doesn't have to be, and that can evolve and that can change as to where you might need more boundaries in the future if your lifestyle changes or if the brand grows. But choosing transparency and honesty and openness doesn't have to mean every single thing. We don't even have time to hear and see every single thing. So deciding what and that's creating a brand, isn't it? There's only so much we can say and only so much we can show, and that's the brand that you've created. I love that. That's such a great tip for our audience. So
sorry.
I would love, that's okay. No, if there's anything else you'd like to add, but also I'd love for people to be able to find how to connect with you, follow this journey on Twitter, and also obviously get onto Llama Life.
Yeah, that sounds good. So on Twitter, I'm at 3 Hour Coffee. So that's spelled out the word 3 Hour Coffee. There's a whole story behind that as well. And for Llama Life, it's llamalife.co. So our website is llamalife.co.co. And would love to chat to people over there.
Amazing. It's been so nice talking to you, Marie, and I look forward to continuing following your journey. And as I say, I aspire to the Llama Life as well.
Yeah, cool. All right. Awesome.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Take care. Bye.
Yep.
Thanks
Later.
for joining,
Bye.
everyone.